This is Sports 845 with Darin Kunis and Dick O'Neill.
It is November 28th, 2023. This is Sports 845. Coming off Thanksgiving week, Dick going the gangster look. To my right, Richard Aloysius O'Neill. And to my left, the head coach of the Goshen Gladiators entering his third season, Sal D'Angelo. Dick, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
We did. I had a very nice Thanksgiving. My daughter's an excellent cook, and she'll try anything. She tried a couple of things, and I like it. So yeah, everything was good.
I worked and raced down to near Philly to Artist Alley and ate like I was going to prison. I mean, the food was great, absolutely great.
I understand.
Sal, what'd you do?
A little bit of family time on both sides of the family, so all good stuff.
Good. Sal, before we get started with the Gladiators, let's do this. You're the head coach of Goshen. You've been there for 3 years. This is your third year. I'll go over your record, which is outstanding and everything. But first, let's talk about what you do during the day, your real job, and it's sports related. It's called Gym Rats. That's Gym, G-Y-M, Rats, R-A-T-Z. Where is Gym Rats located?
Yeah, so I am director of basketball operations at a basketball training company called Gym Rats Performance, based out of Goshen, New York. We are in the Goshen Sports Complex. We're a business that does basketball training for athletes aged from kindergarten to grown men who play professionally overseas and whatnot. So
you have a staff?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a wide range of clientele, a bunch of staff, and I'm blessed to be able to do it for a living.
So I would imagine most of the kids, or a lot of the good players, or a lot of the players in Section 9 not playing for Goshen,
Absolutely, yeah. I'd like to think I have my finger on the pulse a little bit, just with the talent pool in the area. If not by way of directly working with them, then working at the gym with other trainers on staff. But it's good to be in the loop with the talent up here.
Now, you graduated from Menacing Valley in 2003, where you averaged less points than Stephen A. Smith.
100%, for sure.
You're not a basketball player per se,
no,
but you're a basketball savant, coach.
I would say I'm a basketball enthusiast. That's what I would like to say. Playing wasn't my calling, but coaching is something that I've dived into very deeply. It's something I enjoy pretty thoroughly.
Well, you've been there for 3 years. This is your third year.
Yes, sir.
So you've 2 full seasons. You have a record of, you've coached in 45 games.
Yes, sir.
Winning 40 of them. You've never lost a home game at Goshen.
I have not yet. We have not yet. Excuse me.
And you lost last year to the same team twice, Tappan Z, who went on to win a state title in Class A. Yep. And they were both very competitive games.
Yeah. It's been a fun 2 years. It's been a lot of hard work. We got a lot out of the last 2 years, and super memorable way to start, for sure.
Dick, you can chime in on this. They say a good coach never loses to the same team twice.
Ouch.
Who said that?
I don't know. I just said it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, leave that alone.
I can tell you this.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can tell you this. Lou Chaffee still is a friend of mine. And when Lou mentioned Sal's name, I said, you got an unbelievable coach. And he's not a school teacher. He's just a basketball coach for Goshen. And Sal, not being in the school every day.
Yeah.
How does that work with coaching the kids? I'm sure you said you have a pulse on all the kids and everything. Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, when I first started there, I was, like I said, Lou took a very big chance on me due to the fact that I wasn't there every day. My presence wasn't felt there consistently, but he knew that he wanted to get a basketball guy into that position, and I was able to take advantage of that. So I was super excited for that. In terms of actually, believe it or not, and I didn't even tell you this, I actually am helping out in the high school a little bit now as a teacher's aide, just to kind of keep busy during the day as well. So I get to kind of keep my tabs on the guys on the team a little bit more.
You feel it's more advantageous being in the school?
I would say it is for sure. Yeah, my life wasn't lined up to the point where I had time during the day the last couple of years. But now this year, I'm just kind of doing that as well, in addition to everything else I'm doing. So
I think that's a big, kind of a disadvantage to you not being in there full time. Because I found in the morning that, or during the course of the day, that I had a pulse of what maybe a kid had a little problem in homeroom, or somebody had a problem, and I had a pulse going into practice. In other words, there were no surprises going into practice.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I found that to be very helpful to me.
Sal, you're 38 years old. You've been at Goshen. This is your third year. You'll tell us about this year's team. But coming in 2 years ago, your first real head coaching job at a school level.
For sure, yeah.
What were the biggest things you had to adjust to? You didn't have the best players,
Right.
Like at Gym Rats or the OC Kings.
For sure.
You could pick and choose. I got the seven deepest, the seven best players.
Yeah, for sure an adjustment. I mean, my background is I've been coaching travel basketball for 13 years in the area now. Where, like you said, there's tryouts and it's the best of the best kids that come. The talent pool becomes a little different.
And they're from all over.
And they're from all over, exactly. Yeah. But man, for me, the biggest adjustment for coaching in a school was just having the ability to know and scout your opponents, right? When you're at a travel basketball tournament, it's an 8:00 Sunday morning game. You're playing a team from Indiana you've never seen before. There's no preparation involved in that in terms of specific to the opponent. And I think that's one of the parts that I enjoy so much as a coach is the preparation and the scouting. It's been really fun to kind of be able to.
You enjoy it.
That's my favorite part of coaching. So.
Before we get into your team this year, like I said, you're young. You're a good coach. No one debates that.
Mm-hmm.
Is coaching high school basketball, is that something that you want to do for the next 20 years, or do you want to move up?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have aspirations to move, quote unquote, higher up. I could totally see myself coaching at the college level. However, to me, I'm not at the point in my life where I'm looking to lift.
You're not
up
out there campaigning for jobs.
For sure.
If
no.
it comes, it comes.
If it comes, it comes. And I'm not relocating. I'm very much so rooted in the area. And as of right now, I couldn't think of a better fit than, coaching at Goshen.
You're married. How many kids? You have
3 kids.
3 kids.
Yeah.
How old are they?
I have 2 sons, 11 and 9 years old, and my daughter's 4 as well.
Okay, they go to all the games? I know your dad goes to them.
Yeah. They're at the games. Yeah, my wife's there. God bless my wife. She wrangles all 3 of the kids. They sit courtside or right behind the bench sometimes.
And it's not easy to get a seat at a Goshen game anymore.
At least not the last 2 years it hasn't been. So, no.
40-5. This year, it's a different look Gladiator team.
For sure.
You have a Player of the Year candidate. We'll talk about him in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us about the team you have coming back.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to get into this year because this year is when we start to see where we're at as a program, right? We get to see the development that our other coaches on staff have been doing and how hard these players that we have at the varsity level this year have been working hard to fill the shoes of.
You've built a tradition.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way around it to say that the Goshen team in the last 2 years has been one of the best in history. So these kids have big shoes to fill, and they know that. But we're working hard every day to do exactly that and try to keep that standard high.
Gotcha. Is this year's team, the previous teams you've had, you haven't relied solely on the 3.
Right.
I've seen a defense that creates offense.
Right.
Is this year's team with the players you have you're going to play a similar game, or is it a different type of game? You have better shooters, bigger guys. What do you have?
Listen, I think a lot of it is we're excited to see what we have once games start.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can see what we have every day in practice, and I can see how we prepare. And we want to be a defensive first team, just like we always have been. We play a certain style of defense that is particular in how we teach it as a staff. But in terms of going and finding points, we're going to have to find different ways to do so this year. And it's going to be a little bit from everybody.
Tell us about this year's team, the players.
Yeah.
First, before the players, your coaching staff puts in a tremendous amount of hours.
For sure.
John Dombrowsky might call in. None of the coaches, they're up as much as you are. Tell us about your staff.
Man, I'll tell you this much. Me and John, my assistant coach, John Dombrowsky, we knew each other before I took the job. And I didn't realize how much he identified with being Goshen basketball until I got a chance to work alongside him. The amount of work that he puts in and the amount of work that Gus puts in, our other assistant coach, these guys are in good hands. We couldn't be more passionate about what we're doing. And these kids are really going to enjoy the process that or the experience we give them at the varsity level.
Let's get to Kelly last. Tell us about some of the players on the team.
Yeah, listen, we have a young group of kids from our JV team that came up from a very successful JV team the last couple of years. As successful as we were at the varsity level, we were winning games at the JV level. Our JV coach, Coach Brian Johnson, does a great job with those guys. Listen, man, it's just going to be fun for us overall.
Give us the players.
Yeah. Listen,
Do you have a starting lineup right now in your head, or?
I don't know that I have exactly. Man, I got like 8, 9 kids that are all vying for spots.
Gotcha.
You know, we have a couple constants. We got a kid that came back from Dombrowsky. He was there for a couple years, played modified for us.
What's his name?
His name's Kyle Luong. He's a point guard. He's a junior. He'll be really exciting. I think he'll fly under the radar for only a little while because people will catch on to him real quick. But then we have seniors coming back. Like I have a lefty shooter, Barry Ramirez. I'm really excited about. I got a junior guard. His name's Gene, who can really defend the ball. Man, we got a lot to be excited about.
Gotcha. And Jimmy Kelly.
Yeah, and Jimmy Kelly. Listen, Jimmy was a freshman for us last year. Probably third on our team in minutes. Just found ways to impact every single game.
He's a good player.
Very much so. I think last year was perfect for him to kind of get used to the varsity level and kind of be, you know, he was an afterthought for a lot of other teams that were scouting us because we just had so much other talent. This year, he will be at the top of that scouting report for other teams. But I think he's ready to kind of take that on and be a big leader for us.
Last year, you had height. You had,
We did.
I'm probably going to mess up some of these names, but I know you had Luke.
Yeah.
I know you had Tyler.
Yeah,
And you had someone else.
Yeah,
Do
we
you have it this year? Height and guys that can shoot the ball.
Listen, I feel a lot taller at practice this year. I'll just say that.
Gotcha.
So no, I don't have. Listen, each of the last 2 years, I had at least 3 kids that were 6'7", 6'8" in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that this year, but you know, we don't want to harp on it. But the team that we lost to last year twice didn't have a player over 6 foot.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So it's just a matter of attacking the details of the game that we're really trying to teach these kids, and hopefully they buy in.
You're going to have a different situation this year in that you're going to have a target on your back. All these teams you've been beaten up on, they're going to be you're marked on their calendar.
We felt hunted last year too.
Yeah.
People may think we're a little more vulnerable this year, and we're expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
We're expecting to be that circle date on a lot of teams' calendars,
Sure.
and I'm good with that.
I wouldn't want it any other way myself.
We're not hiding.
No, I
so.
wouldn't want it any other way.
Now, your first game was supposed to be tomorrow, and I have a feeling you and I both have a problem here. It looks like we're
Stop.
sitting next to patient 0.
That's no.
What's going on? With
I think there was a league-wide concern about the flu was going around, not only in our district but some other districts. I'm good now though. Don't worry.
Right.
I promise.
Well, we're not going to kiss in any
No,
way.
at least not on the air. But
No.
a couple of our guys are sick. That's okay. I'm not worried. But I think
So it was delayed a week?
Yeah, we were just delayed. So we had
Who do you
2
open with?
We're actually going to open up this Monday now away at Liberty.
At Liberty.
Yep.
Your non-league schedule, do you have control of that schedule at all?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
You look to play some of the better teams early, or you obviously you'd rather play them later, but then you have section games where it's tough to get them in. So,
So I think a lot of our non-league games this year were just kind of returning the favor from last year. Like last year we played Middletown at their place. This year they'll come to our place. It's a balance between trying to get the right fit for your team. And
Captain Z's number was busy.
Yeah, they didn't pick up. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. They are not on the schedule this year. We'll hope to see them at some point. But we just try to make the right decisions for our team and get them prepared for a late season run.
When we get back, hopefully one of Sal's assistant coaches, John Dombrowsky, is gonna call in, and we will be right back. This part of the show brought to you by Village Pizza, located on Greenwich Avenue in Goshen. 1 million places to eat pizza in Goshen, and Sal, with the last name D'Angelo, will tell you the best place to get pizza in Goshen is Village Pizza. Go in there, ask for the Pope, John Paul, and you get the best pizza there is. They deliver. You could sit in there. It's the only problem when you sit in there. It's about 2,000 degrees. But they have a great menu, great people, and really friendly, great pizza. We will be right back. We are back. It is November 28th, 2023, snowing out there already. Dick, we have our first message that came in. It came from Artist Alley, who saw the picture on Facebook and loves the Peaky, what is it? What is that show on Netflix? Peaky Blinders?
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Loves the Peaky Blinders hat.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
We are waiting for John Dombrowsky to call in. He'll call in shortly. Sal, go around the league if you can. You mentioned your team. You're going to be the hunted this year. You're still a perennial favorite to win I would assume.
Yeah, so
Who else is out there?
well keep in
And
mind Yeah, so we're double A this year because Section 9 introduces triple A. This year.
Right.
So what is it? It's going to be Kingston, Monroe, Newburgh, Middletown.
Oh, you're in the same
Pine
division,
Bush.
huh?
No, those are triple A.
Triple A.
We bump up to double A.
Warwick.
Washingtonville,
Cornwall.
Valley Central, Cornwall, Monticello, Minnesink.
Mm-hmm.
And then below that is A, so that's like Beacon, Port, New Paltz.
Where does Lords fit into this?
Oh, Lords will stay double A with us.
Oh,
They'll bump
okay.
up and they'll be double
Yeah,
A with us as well.
Yeah.
What teams out there do you know a little bit about that are going to be
Yeah, I think
that are going to vie for a title?
I'll
Before you say that, let me just point out one other thing. Goshen never won a Section 9 title. The last 2 years, back-to-back Section 9 titles. Go ahead.
It was fun. I think for AAA, a lot of teams will overlook Monroe. There we go.
We have John on the line,
Hey,
I
John.
think. John, can you hear me?
I've got you loud and clear.
Next to me is your assistant coach, Sal D'Angelo, and to my right is someone you also know, one of the best looking guys in Section 9, Dick O'Neill.
You know what, Darin? I don't want to cut you off. You know how many wins Dick O'Neill and I have combined?
Dick has 411 and you have none.
I know. So we have 411 victories.
Yeah. Now, John, you've coached. You've been an assistant coach, and you work during the day. You've been an assistant coach for years at Goshen. You played at Goshen, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, correct. A long time ago.
And we already mentioned that Sal averaged 1 point less than Stephen A. Smith did in his college career. So, John, what's it like coaching with Sal, who's, you guys are 45-5 over the last 2 years, never losing a home game, different kids. It's very hard to, Dick and I have mentioned this a million times. In high school, it's very difficult to have a dynasty. You have
Correct.
different kids every year, and it's, if you have a superstar, you get them for 4 years, but most of the time you're getting kids for 2 years.
Most programs
Correct.
cycle. Most programs just cycle.
Yeah.
Depending on the class in front of you and the class behind you.
So, John,
Correct.
what's it like with Sal over at Goshen?
Well, I can tell you this. I mean, Sal is the third coach I have been with at Goshen, coaching under. And the first, Sal and I, we've gone back away. We knew each other before we started coaching together, just through the basketball world. The first time we met, after we were both named back to the program a couple of years back, Sal came in and he had no voice. And the first word that I could understand coming out of his voice was, "I love defense." So I said, I don't care anything else about his basketball principles. I was a person that was born and raised about defense. My father instilled that in me, and that's something that I cherished and loved to death. And not knocking any other previous regimes, I knew from day one back in September or whatever that was, that it was going to be a different but positive. Again, nothing negative for anything that I've been with before, but I just knew it was going to be a positive situation.
Well,
what we're getting into.
I'll tell you this, and I'll say it to Sal. And again, it's no knock on anything, but before, I would say 3 or 4 years ago, and it's a credit to the team he had. He got the most out of it, Mike Tagney, who did a great job there. He put Goshen on the map with all the the youth programs and having 60
Correct.
kids try out for varsity and everything. A lot of credit. But you would go to a Goshen game, and I'll go back years ago. If Shupp was hot, if Lutz was hot, if Foley was hot, the team would win games. If they were off, there wasn't much chance of winning.
Correct.
The last few years, it looks like you got a bunch of guys averaging 10 points, 8 rebounds a game. You're not reliant on the three. Is that something that would be considered a true statement?
100%. Our first year, our first section title year, our leading scorer was Luke Mikowski. He averaged 13 points. 13 points. And I think that's a testament to the team concept that Sal brought. And on any given night, anybody could go off. And it wasn't a matter of who led us in scoring. It was a matter of the W going in that column. And we were fortunate enough to do that many of times. And, we're hoping that culture can continue to grow. Like you said, we have a brand new team, and I'm sure you've talked about it. It's 11. We lost 11 people. So we have Jimmy Kelly coming back and 3 seniors that have not seen any playing time that are going to be thrown into the mix as far as playing time and leadership that the new JV kids are going to be looking towards. And it's exciting. Like you said, high school basketball, that's what it's about. But there's an expectation that has been put on this program and it's taken to a next level. And, starting Monday night, we'll see where we are. And hopefully, I'm not looking to go I don't think we're not going to go 22-2. I can tell you that, but we're looking for positive progress, and that's all we can ask for.
Sal just said, I don't know why John said we're not going to go 22-2.
I'm just being honest,
Dick and I are both older than you and John. Dick is much older than all of us combined.
I'm much older than combined. I'm much older than.
But both of us agree on one thing: we don't like the style that basketball has become. A 3-on-1 break is no longer a layup. It's look for the 3-point line. I can't hear anything. I lost. 3-on-1 break becomes a 3-pointer. And when I'm sure Dick agrees, we one bounce pass and a layup.
Yeah, well, I've been through this with John. I'm not a big fan of the 3-pointer.
No, Sal. So do you guys don't rely so much on the 3?
No, I don't think we look to rely on anything in particular. More so, just trying to get.
You'd rather get the N1.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take that too.
Yeah.
Sal, when I watch you coach, it seems like your halftime adjustments are tremendous. I'm sure John is involved in that.
For sure.
Gus is involved in that. But you go to a Goshen game the last few years, and you get the tale of 2 halves. I've been to games where you're down 10, you look lousy, you come out with your pressing defense, and you get a lot of free points that way. And it seems like your halftime adjustments always seem to manifest. And I like the way you are with the refs too. It's you'll yell at them, but you'll smile at the same time. Is that your way of saying you screwed this up? You owe me one. And then you point to John and say it was him that said that.
Hey, listen, I just want to say on record, I still have 0 technical fouls called upon me. I'm knocking on wood for that as well. But I think I'm surrounded by great people on the bench that help me kind of manage that. John knows how to work the officials as well. And I shouldn't say work. Communicate in a healthy manner.
John, on a personal note, are you on a break from Duck Duck Goose in your PE program here or what?
I just got out of class, and just let the record show. My professor said that wherever I end up, there'll be the lesson I taught tonight. I will be getting a statue outside the school building.
Oh, yeah, okay. There you go.
What are you going to school for? What are you going to?
Phys ed.
He wants to be a phys ed. Yeah, a teacher. Yes, good for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
John, you want to be a head coach someday?
Yeah, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, probably not. With the boys being born, easy to step back. But again, I think the last couple of years, there has been a joy that has been brought back into my love for basketball, and Sal has really brought that out and given me a lot more responsibility than I ever had before. And he really, we work so well together. It's we're pretty much on the same page on everything. And it's, I've been doing this 16 years, and it's everything. He's everything that I've wanted.
You sound good.
You're kind of.
Well, you want me to? We'll build a statue outside here.
You're ganging it up a little bit.
Yeah, well,
but,
John is a different kind of cat. He's been a basketball since the womb. His father was
great player at Burke,
really great player at Burke and at St. Anselm's College. But also he's been following high school basketball and things like that. And he had a certain way of playing. He had a certain way of playing. And the boys played that way. They weren't as big as he was, but they played with the same intensity and that kind of thing. And probably they had to. Let me put it that way, or there was probably not much food on the table the next night.
So, John, John, stay on the line with us because Sal's going to continue to talk. Some of the teams in Double A now that are going to be very good. Talk to us, Sal.
Yeah, I think we all know the team to beat in Double A is going to be Lords.
Lords?
Yeah, I mean, think about our team from last year. Out of 15 kids, we lost 11. I think Lords lost maybe 2 or 3, and their studs are back. I expect Washingtonville to be a good team as well in Double A this year. Coach Rose has a good group of talent over there, and there's going to be a lot of competition there. I think after that.
I think
So,
this is it for Coach Rose too, isn't it?
I wasn't going to broadcast that,
but
for sure.
Yeah, he's a lifer. He put in plenty of years. He wants to go.
He's got a good group to go out with if he wants to.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. Let me ask you: is Beacon in with you guys or
So
not?
Beacon stays down there in A.
They're going to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, so Beacon A is going to look a lot like Beacon, Port, New Paltz. I think those will be the top 3 teams probably down in A.
Yeah.
For
Where's Marlboro?
Ooh, that's a great question.
They're B.
If they're B, then they'll probably be battling with Burke.
Oh,
'Cause I
okay,
think
there you
Burke is
go.
B
All
again
right,
this year.
okay.
John, am I right there? Help me out, kid.
I believe so. Yes, I believe everything you said is true. So,
Burke is a B.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right,
Okay.
right, John?
I believe so.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think so.
and with they got the O'Boyle kid who should really carry
Yeah,
them.
he
Yeah,
is.
he's a player of the
He's a
year
good
candidate.
player.
He's a real good
Yeah,
player.
he is.
Sal, let me ask you this: you came into the coaching fraternity in Section 9, not a teacher.
For sure.
I'm sure you know a lot of these coaches.
Oh, yeah.
Did you find that there was any envy or anything like that with you? Were you becoming the hunted right away?
No, I don't.
Let me show him. He's a first-year coach. He's a young kid. Let me show him the ropes.
I haven't felt anything directly
Okay.
like that. I mean, but if you're coaching and you're taking so much time away from your family to put into coaching high school sports, you are a competitive individual.
Yes.
And I think I embrace and I love the time. I mean, and John will talk. We have so many group chats with so many of the coaches in the area. We have so many good relationships with these guys.
Mhm.
I love nothing more than hugging Coach Russo before a game and then, screaming like a psychopath right on the sideline with the whole side with him, and just competing. You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes this so much fun for me is the relationships.
On a layer, my daughter Laurie has not coaching this year. She's given up the boys' assistant job at
The assistant
at Cornwall, and she kept the girls' job, girls' coaching job, golf job, but she's given up basketball. Her mother wasn't too happy, but
Oh boy.
yeah, she paid her dues.
Sal, you're making calls after the season to get a kid into a school on his basketball prowess. After the season, during the season, you're talking to coaches. This kid, I think, could play at the next level.
At the next level, yeah. Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, I've always been an advocate for athletes that I work with for years now in the area. Before I was at Goshen, just as a travel basketball coach.
Mhm.
I mean, with our guys from last year, me, John, Gus, we're all looking to help bridge that gap for these guys and provide opportunity for them after high
And of course, every parent believes their son should be starting for the Tar Heels.
school. if not the Tar Heels, then Duke for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Well, John, Sal, you open Monday with. What'd you say?
We're away at Liberty.
You're away at Liberty, a non-league game.
Yep.
We hope to have you back during the season.
I'd love that.
John will be in once he gets his phys ed degree, and we'll speak to you during the season. I know you just got done with practice, and I know you have 3 kids at home, and I appreciate the time you gave
Appreciate
us.
you guys having us on.
When we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about Section 9, and then we'll go into some national stuff. Just real quick on Section 9, the football. Middletown played a very good game.
Yes.
They lost to a better team.
Yeah, they were good.
Cornwall got beat.
To a much better team.
Okay.
A much better team, yeah.
O'Neill did win a game and then lost.
They got beat 33-7 to a much better team again.
And Port Jervis lost as well.
And
So we
and Burke.
And Burke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Burke lost to Hallandane, right?
Right.
So we covered that. We move on
Yeah.
to basketball season. We're gonna go to a few games. Where's the toughest, before I let you go, where's the toughest place to play other than Goshen in Section 9?
Go ahead, John. Yeah, I hear it all.
I know the answer.
I know the answer too. I want to see if John's got it.
I know the answer.
Go ahead.
It's the pit.
It's
It's
pit.
It's in Monticello, the pit that Dick built.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
With the same officials.
We will be.
Well,
No comment.
yeah, no comment. I'll take that. No comment on that.
We will be back right after this. John, thank you. We are back. It is Sports 845. Dick, we haven't covered, we're going to get into college football, which could be either very simple or chaotic, depending on next week. But Jeff Glotzer, who covers the NBA for himself, basically, and us. And he, an avid Knick fan. He doesn't miss a game. So we'll talk NBA after, but let's talk a little Knicks right now with Jeff calling in from Colorado. Jeff, the Knicks are 9-7. I thought they had a bad loss the other night against Phoenix at the Garden, where they don't seem to play well for some reason, or I guess the reason is every team gets up to play at the Mecca and does very well against the Knicks at the Garden. 9-7, you're hearing, already, you hear it constantly, 365 days a year, trade rumors, things like that, things the Knicks can do. They have a host of draft picks, they have good contracts, and they have young players that are getting better. So talk to us a little bit about the Knicks.
I think the Knicks are probably right around where I would have expected them to be. They're still figuring it out. They made some changes from last year. They have guys moving around in different positions. Josh Hart is really hasn't gotten into a rhythm yet coming off the bench. He's in a different role. They pretty much have him playing like a power forward slot, and he just hasn't seemed to be comfortable yet in his new role. They made some good additions, having Dante DiVincenzo. I think he's over the course of the year is going to be someone that fans love. He hustles, he plays hard. He's a winner. He makes big shots, and very similar to Josh Hart, except he's a better scorer. So far it seems like they are just kind of where they're at depends on which Julius Randle shows up for a game or parts of a game. And I just think that when the Knicks are playing a team game and they're moving the ball around, that they're in a lot better shape than when they're playing a lot of ISO ball and going to Randle on the wing. And they've had a pretty tough schedule so far. The other night was a bad loss, especially since the Suns did not have Kevin Durant playing. But I suspect that the Knicks are just going to be somewhere in the vicinity of where they were last year, a 45 to 50 win team, unless they make a move. It's too early to make a move. Teams, I think that last year there weren't any moves during this time period at all in the NBA. So I think teams start to evaluate where they're at after 20 games.
Jeff, I have a question for you. It seems like forever now that the very first game that the Knicks play every year, the trade rumors start. I mean, there's never when we get into the season where they have some kind of flow with the team that they already have. Day one, it's always in the paper. It's always on media things. Who we getting in a trade? And rarely do we do anything like that. But it seems like it's a constant thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I was just reading something now. It has nothing to do with the Knicks. It has, I was following the Syracuse football coaching job, and everyone was reporting over the weekend that Dan Mullen was close to taking the job. I mean, it was across all different mediums, and the AD just came out and said he never even spoke to Dan Mullen. So a lot of this stuff is just media created. I don't think the Knicks are looking to make a trade right now because I don't know if there's a trade to be out there. I think if there's going to be a trade to be out there, it's going to be closer to the deadline. But, I think the Knicks, if anything, I think all the rumors you're hearing are probably just that. They're just
speculation.
Rumors.
Yeah, but Jeff, every time I come into the bagel bakery here, Darin has another trade rumor for me. So,
yeah, because Darin reads Fugazi websites all day that make up trade rumors.
Jeff, fake website NBA.com is not Fugazi in any way.
All right, you're reading fansided.com. I mean, come on.
Okay,
right?
Let me ask you a question. RJ Barrett has improved. He's improved every year. It looks like this year the biggest thing he's improved on is his outside shot.
Agreed.
He goes to his right a lot more. He's finishing with his right hand more. Is Barrett, there's guys out there. Barrett's someone I would have moved. And yes, I am impatient. I want immediate results. Is Barrett someone you would be very reluctant to include in a trade right now?
Yeah, I would. I mean, it depends. It really depends. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that I would not move Ballard for. He has improved some aspect of his game every year. This year, it's something that's really critical to his future success in the league. It's just being consistent, and his shot looks a lot smoother. He's making a lot more kind of just off the dribble pull up shots. His three has been more consistent. He's actually been better on the defensive end. I mean, he was primarily guarding Booker at the end of the game the other night, and although Booker made that great shot from the corner, he did a pretty good job on him, and that's an improvement from him. So yeah, there guys that I would move him for. Yeah, of course, but they're guys that are probably top 15 guys in the league, but I think that he has moved himself up into, I'm not going to say untouchable, but you'd have to get something really good in return to move him at this point.
I also think he's done a better job of getting something off the dribble, which he never, he was kind of a standstill shooter, and and if he did go to the basket, he would try to go all the way to the basket, but now he seems to like to pull up a little bit in the lane, and he seems a little more consistent. I like the way he's playing. I wouldn't trade him at all.
I'll tell you
100%, coach. I mean, he's see, the problem that he had in the past is that he was getting to the rim a lot, but like his lack of athleticism, he wasn't finishing.
Right.
So now he's kind of made that adjustment because he's pulling up and Darin, you're right. He is hitting shots at the basket with his right hand too. So he's improved in all facets of the game. He's a nice player. He's a winning player. He's part of a winning equation, but is he untouchable? He's not untouchable yet, but for the right thing, you'd have to move him. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that you want as part of a winning equation. We drafted him, so you'd like to see him part of it when and if they get there.
Jeff, I look around the NBA, and yes, it's early. We're 15, 20 games in. The team that, they have DeMar DeRozan, they have Zach LaVine, they have other players. What's the story with the Bulls? Why are they 5-13?
Maybe because, for the most part, they have guys with a lot of talent, but they're just not winning players. If you looked at Zach LaVine's career, you watch Zach LaVine and you can't help but be impressed with him. He's an athletic freak. He makes shots from all over the court. He has good size. He hurts you on the defensive end. But they just don't have a good combination of players. There's a lot of guys on that team that if they were in a different situation, maybe they could be part of the winning equation, but together they're not good. I mean, the most sought after player on that team is Caruso.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you that next. I've watched him play. He's a nice player, but I can't believe that how much money I guess everybody gets paid an enormous amount of money, but Alex Caruso does nothing that stands out to me.
He makes winning plays. You're not going to look at the stat sheet and see, and you're not talking about a guy who's a starter. You're talking about a guy who's going to come off the bench like a Josh Hart, and he's going to give you great minutes. He's going to hustle, play D, you get the loose, get the 50-50 balls. He's going to do all those things, and he's going to make winning plays. And that's why a lot of teams would love to add him to the mix. The Heat want him, the Knicks want him. I don't know why the Knicks want him. He seems like he just kind of adds to what they already have. I like the Knicks, any Knicks talk about getting Bogdanovich from the Pistons.
Jeff, you were talking about Alex Caruso. Let me give you some names. And
I said Bogdanovich would be a good.
Well,
good
that's
guy
what I was going to ask you. But before I get to that, a lot of people, including myself, talked, and I asked you about Siakam of Toronto. I asked you about Ojanobi of Toronto. Obviously, they're not moving Scotty Barnes. And you mentioned something that I wasn't aware of until I read about it. Dick, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Jeff, tell us why the Knicks and the Raptors probably would never consummate a trade.
The Knicks and Raptors are not going to consummate a trade anytime soon because the Knicks are suing the Raptors in federal court for basically stealing their, scouting stuff from last year. One of the Knicks assistant coaches went to the Raptors and, supposedly took a lot of information with him, and the Knicks caught him. And instead of going to take it in front of the commissioner, who apparently they don't trust at all, that's come out in the last week or so, they decided to forego that and bring the case in federal court. Now, the Raptors have, I believe, filed a motion to dismiss. I don't think it's been ruled on yet. But there's no way that the Knicks would love OG, the Knicks, I don't know about Siakam. Siakam said whoever he's traded to, he's not going to re-sign with. So I don't know if they'd necessarily want Siakam. You'd have to give up a ton for him. But the Knicks and Raptors, as far as making a trade this year, isn't going to happen.
Okay, so let me give you some names, and we said we weren't going to talk about trade, but I'll give you some names anyway that are bandied
Yes.
about.
Where did we grab this one off? Was it at least Bleach? Was it at least Bleacher?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to give you some names that I thought of on my own. No
Sure.
one's mentioned it before.
Buddy, you've very little come up with things on your own.
Yeah.
So let's be honest.
Listen, the Bogdanovich, who you mentioned, is something the Knicks would not have to give a tremendous amount up for. Bogdanovich would help the Knicks immediately. He would space the floor. He could score.
Yeah.
He's not a very bad defender. And,
No.
and he's a winner. And
Yes.
the best thing about Bogdanovich is the Pistons want to move him. He's got no use to them. And the Knicks would not have to give up a lot. So Bogdanovich, to me, is a player that the Knicks could acquire and would help them.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, what the Knicks can do, if it comes to it, is that the Knicks own the Pistons' second-round pick outright right now, and they could maybe include something where they forego that right because it's virtually a first-round pick at the
Right.
Pistons are have the worst record in the league. So yeah, he's obviously a player, and it would be easy from a numbers point of view as you just throw in Fournier into that deal and it's done.
Well,
So-
when he was a Pacer, Bill Bano was the assistant coach there, and he always spoke very highly of him. He thought he did a lot of things well. He was great in the locker room, and he thought he would be better, and he thought he'd be better on a different team. But that's here nor there at the moment.
I don't know why he's moved around a lot. He was good on the Nets. He was great on the Pacers. He was terrific on the Jazz before they broke that team up.
I didn't even know he
And
played for
I
the
don't-
Nets.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich played for the Nets?
Yeah.
He was on the Nets a few years ago, and so now he serves no purpose on Detroit other than maybe being a veteran presence to teach all those young kids how to play, but he's wasting there. He could definitely be part of a contending type of situation for sure.
Okay, Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, Kuzma makes a lot of money. I don't know what Kuzma is going to do for you. Where do you want to put Kuzma? I mean, he plays the same position as Randall. At the end of the day, I'd rather have Randall than Kuzma. He's more dependable. He plays every game. Kuzma's very erratic, and just thinks very highly of himself. He just said something the other day where he said he was like one of the greatest power forwards in the game.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't. Jeff, I wouldn't want him anywhere in New York.
yeah,
Not
no,
anywhere near the Knicks. No.
Yeah, I don't know that if you want to get guys, you got to get guys that are going to move the needle. And Kuzma's not moving the needle.
Carl Anthony Towns, first of all,
No,
the Timberwolves
absolutely.
are 12-4, so I don't know how quick they are to move Towns, but I agree with you. There's no way I'm taking on Towns and his money. I don't need another guy who's 7 foot tall who just shoots
Jump
threes.
shots. That's exactly
His
right.
contract is absurd. I mean, I'm sure he'd be happy if he was traded to the Knicks. Although Minnesota looks like they're the real deal this year. They play great defense. At some point Towns will probably break down the year. But what are you doing? You're swapping him for Randall. Randall's making $25 million. Towns' contract's in the 50s. It's not. You're not. And then you're basically strapping yourself.
I agree.
cap-wise.
I agree.
So
The-
I think on balance, you don't make that move. Who else you got?
The Grizzlies are 3-13. Desmond Bane is a good player. The Grizzlies are playing without Morant. Just a team to keep an eye on because even without Morant, they should be better than winning 3 of 16 games.
I mean, 100%. But they're. I don't know why Desmond Bane is a cornerstone, a player for them.
No, I agree.
So they're
I
not
was
trading.
talking more in lines of Morant.
Listen, Morant couldn't handle Memphis from a nightlife point of view. You're going to put him in New York. I mean, he's a generational talent, but you could see a scenario where that guy's out of the league in a year or two.
You could. You could. The Pelicans, and this is the last question, I'll let you go. The Pelicans are 9-9. Would you rather have Brandon Ingram or Zion Williamson on the Knicks?
I don't
You'd probably have to give up a boatload for either one.
I don't think it works. I don't think those are the sort of guys that the Knicks are looking at. Brandon Ingram is an extremely skilled player. He's a Kevin Durant type player, but he's just not as consistent, and he gets hurt every year. Go look at his games played. I mean, I think his most games played since his rookie season is somewhere in the 60s. And Zion has a lot to prove. He has a huge contract. Obviously, he's a great talent, but that team should be better. So that team should, with Zion on the floor, that team should be like, I don't know, 15-7, or it shouldn't be 500. I would expect them to get better as the season goes along. But those, just in light of what these guys are making and their reliability, they're just not guys you want to get. You got to get guys, number one, that are reliable.
Well, I'm going to give you a guy
guys.
I'm going to give you a guy that's reliable. He does have. I thought he had 1 year left. I think you said he has 2, but it's a name of a guy that wants to be in New York. He's been a very good soldier in Utah, a very good soldier in Cleveland. I don't think he re-signs when it's time, and that's Donovan Mitchell, who does play every game. Your thoughts on Mitchell?
Look, I would take Donovan Mitchell in a heartbeat. I think he's not perfect, but he gives the Knicks need another guy who can break the defense down off the dribble, and he is that guy. Now, it might be some initial ironing out for him to work with Brunson, because Brunson has become very ball dominant, and deservedly so. He's very clutch. But I think that although that backcourt would probably hurt you a little bit on the defensive end, there would be a very dynamic backcourt. You probably would have to move Barrett in that deal. So that's the problem there. If you don't want to give up Barrett,
I'm giving up Barrett for Mitchell.
All right. Well, maybe you make the deal bigger and you bring back small forward from Cleveland to make up for it. But the problem is that you might have to give up quickly. I don't know who else. Grimes. And a couple of ones. I mean, less obviously than what Danny Ainge was looking for, but look, you just said it there. It's very important. He wants to be there. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any question that he wants to be there, and he is a good soldier. He's a dynamic player. He's a top 15 player in the league, and he doesn't make him a championship team, but he gets him closer.
The Sixers aren't moving Joel. Well, I'm not going to say they aren't, but they're definitely not moving Joel Embiid to trading him to a team in the same conference. Agreed?
It's a pipe dream. Don't even consider that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, look what Maxi's doing. Do you think with more playing time that quickly could become a little more, maybe a lot more than what he is with more playing time? I just think his playing time is stunted. I think he could become a much more
he's a good defender,
refined player. He plays both ends of the floor. He can shoot it, and I just don't think he gets enough playing time.
I mean, I don't know what he's averaging this year. I think it's probably mid high 20s, but I think that
minutes.
Minutes.
I think you're right. I think he's obviously has Brunson in front of him. And maybe, I think ultimately what happens during the course of the season is that I think slowly you're going to see those guys him and Brunson playing a lot more together. I think that's, but yeah, I agree with you. I think that if he's given more responsibilities in a different situation, he could. I mean, look, last year, I think in the games that he started, Brunson missed whatever. He averaged like 23 points a game, and he had a lot of assists, and he plays good defense. He's not a natural point guard. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. And the problem with him, if you're just talking about value, is that he's in the last year of his contract. The way the league is heading, I think he's looking at a $25 million, $30 million a year contract. So that has to be factored into if you want to use him for a trade. And he's gonna be a restricted free agent. But
will the Knicks pay that much for him to bring him back? Will they?
He'd be making more than Brunson. I think the likelihood is, if anybody's going to get moved at the deadline for a really good player, I think it's going to be quickly. I think that's it, because I don't know that they are going to pay him that much. They could have probably paid him like 22 at the beginning of the offseason, and they probably held firm, and now they're losing leverage because I think his value is and the way other contracts came out during the offseason, I think he's definitely going to garner 25 to 30 million.
Just for his sake, I would hope they would move him someplace where he'd get more playing time, just for personal reasons on him. I wouldn't want to see him leave the Knicks, but I think he could become a really, really good player with more playing time.
Yeah, no, I think 100%. I mean, he can definitely fill up the stat sheet on every night, and he just and another guy that keeps making improvements to his game every year, and just being more consistent. And the funny thing about the knock on Tibbs is that he doesn't develop young players. It's such nonsense. I mean, Barrett's developed, Quickly's developed. I mean, there are young guys that have developed. There are other guys that have not. But people are going to point to like Obi Toppin. I mean, the guy is a bench player in Indiana.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like he went there and he's putting up 20 and 11. I mean,
No, I agree. I agree with you.
Mitchell Robinson is developed under Tips. Those are three guys right there and then that came in, and so I just don't agree with that statement. And even Brunson showed a lot of improvement from last year. He's still a young guy, he's 27. Grimes, I think Grimes is still trying to find his way this year. In a lineup where there's not enough basketballs in that lineup for him. But we'll see. I think you got to give it some more time before they're going to probably pull the trigger on it.
One more question from me, Jeff. What's going to go on with Fournier?
He's I don't know. I mean, they're obviously holding on to him instead of releasing him because they want to use him. They obviously they see value in his contract as part of the deal. That's why they haven't released him and just let him go. Other than that, I think you definitely could have see a scenario where a couple guys get hurt and he could step back in and contribute. The guy is still he's a terrific outside shooter. The problem with him is that he just can't guard.
Yeah. You know what? I was delighted when they got him. I thought that was going to be a big plus when they got him. And
I'm with you. I thought he was going to be. I thought maybe they overpaid by a couple million, but I thought he was definitely going to be someone that was going to help them. And he had some good games his first year. He just the Knicks numbers, plus minus numbers with him on the floor were awful last year.
Yeah, and if you don't play defense, you're not going to play for Thibodeau. So
Right.
That's pretty much that. So.
Right.
Jeff, the season is, it's early. It's they've played 15, 20 games. We'll have you back on closer to the trade deadline, and we'll talk some more Knicks. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Talk to you soon. Happy holidays.
We will be back right after this. This portion of the show brought to you by Brew. Brew is located on 2 Railroad Avenue in Goshen. I had dinner there again last night. Sat with the Irishman. I had the chicken française. It was very good. And the Irishman was going to come on tonight, or possibly even be here tonight.
Okay.
Obviously blocked out his face, but he's feeling under the weather. I'm hoping it wasn't food poisoning. We'll be back right after this. Sports 845. I'm Darin Kunis, and to my right, Richard Mackenzie O'Neill is here joining us with his pink. Is it? We still haven't. Rich, is it Pinky or Peaky blinders?
It's Peaky.
Pinky.
Peaky.
Pinky.
Pinky.
No. It's Peaky.
It's Peaky.
Peaky? Oh, okay. Peaky. Okay.
I have no idea. I've never seen the show.
Okay. Peaky blinders hat. Dick. In Pelican Bay and in all these Florence ADX prisons, they're now forcing the prisoners to watch the Jets and Giants offense. If you opened up any New York newspaper in the last 3 days, Tommy DeVito is now being in the same breath as Joe Montana, Joe Namath, and
Pick one.
anything.
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito is, he's managed the game.
Yeah.
He's played well, better than I thought he played.
Yeah.
But the Giants sit at 4-8. Their offense absolutely stinks. Their first drive down the field in every game they've played this year, they've looked like the greatest team on earth, and then it seems like they just stopped doing everything they do.
And they're playing bad teams, and the bad teams just combined with them, these games are turning into
horrible to watch.
snore fest.
And
I mean, it's hard.
And the Jets, who share the stadium, I mean, when your choice, how bad is Trevor Siemian when he can't get on the field? He must be sitting there saying, how bad am I
right?
that I can't help this team more than Boyle and Wilson?
What the hell am I doing here? He's got to be thinking.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers should not come back. The Jets are 4-7.
Yeah.
Their offense is non-existent. I can't think, and I'm not being sarcastic. You can help me. You're older. Yeah. Can you think of a worse offensive team than the 2023 New York Jets?
No.
There's no chance of them scoring.
Not at all.
None.
Not at all. Tyreek Hill has more touchdowns than the Jets.
They're awful. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't. Not only do they have no chance of scoring, it looks like they don't even intend to score.
And think about this: if the Giants lost Barkley and the Jets lost Hall, think about that kind of game. Think about what the hell that would look like.
Well, to me, Barkley hasn't done anything anyway.
Oh well,
He's Barkley. I like him as a person. I like the fact he wants to be here, but I was down on the pick from the beginning, and I'm still down on it.
but any movement these two teams have is based on Hall and Barkley.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. But the Giants have played a little bit better. They could have quit. They
Yeah.
didn't. They're giving you effort. So are the Jets.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of time before that locker room in the Jets explodes because
Right.
the defense is playing well. I never thought they were the 85 Bears.
No.
I don't think you did either. But their
No.
defense is definitely
Yeah.
very good.
right. Yeah.
The Eagles, Artist Alley's Eagles, are 10-1. They had a good win over Buffalo. To me, the best team in the NFL is still the San Francisco 49ers.
Agreed.
And the Cowboys are similar, to the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
They are beating the hell out of these mediocre teams, but when it comes time to win a game against, for Miami, it would be Buffalo or Kansas City, any of those teams of that ilk. Baltimore. They don't win those
They
games.
don't.
The Cowboys destroy mediocre
Right.
teams, but they still don't have that signature win over the Eagles.
Yeah.
They don't have the signature win over the 49ers. And they're good.
Yeah.
They're a very good team. That's what they are.
They are. And now look to go along with the Jets and Giants. Look at what Cincinnati has become without Burrow. Did you watch that game?
Yes,
That game?
that's somewhat predictable. We sat here. It's amazing how the NFL changes,
Yeah.
and it really is a week by week league.
Yeah. Oh, no question.
We sat here and talked about the AFC conference with the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, how great these teams were, and in a matter of days, we lost Burrow, we lost Deshaun Watson, and now you sit there and you say the Ravens are 9-3, who I picked to win the AFC.
Right.
The Ravens are 9-3. The Steelers are 7-4. And Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach because they're 7-4. Let me give you 4. I'm not going to give you their schedule, but there's 7 wins. They have Arizona at home. They have New England, the Colts, and the Bengals. I'm just giving them 4 wins right there.
They can win 10 games.
They can win 10 or 11 games.
Minimum 10.
And Tomlin does it as a terrible team.
Really?
You know,
Well, their defense is very good.
they
Their
fired
defense-
the offensive coordinator
Right.
in the season, which is
Yeah.
very strange
But
for
they
the
didn't.
Steelers.
They didn't look a whole lot better offensively
No.
than me. Their defense kept them in good field position and things like that. But they're offensively, they're tough to watch too.
Yeah, and I told you, it's a week-to-week league.
Yeah.
I gave you the Lions winning 12 games this year, 13 games.
Wow.
They looked horrific
Horrendous. They
on
did.
Thanksgiving.
They did.
And when I say I was surprised, I wasn't surprised they lost that
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
but I'm surprised that they lost on Thanksgiving with Campbell as their coach, knowing that the whole world is watching them, and they came out and they stunk.
Stunk it right from the beginning. Yeah, you're right. You're
Which
right.
really surprised
Yeah,
me.
And I was becoming a fan. I
Yeah.
still am. I like the way they do things, but boy, teams just don't seem to come out and play
No.
week to week.
And it
week to
shocked
week.
me that
Yeah.
the Lions, how did the Lions come out
Yeah.
flat? For the first time, people like yourself are
Yeah.
getting a Lions sweatshirt. They're
Yeah.
rooting for them.
Oh yeah.
And they
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah.
Um,
And the same thing the other day. Well, I'm watching. I couldn't watch it, but I'm listening to Kansas City. They're down 14-0 to the
Raiders.
Raiders. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah.
they still came back
Yeah.
and won.
Oh no, but
The other team I put the kibosh on, I gave you Houston and said they're going to win 11 games. And they go out there, they lost to a good team in Jacksonville, who's playing a lot better right now. Lawrence is starting to get his feet back, and he's playing well.
very well. Yes.
But other than that, is there anything in the NFL? I mean, listen, I'm not going to go into the NFC South. The Falcons are
No.
5-6. One of
Yeah.
those teams is going to make the playoffs
Yeah.
only because they have to.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm liking what Houston's doing. I think we got a little surprise with C.J. Stroud, don't you think?
yes, but
Yeah.
I just said that. Like I said,
Yeah.
they lost a tough game in
Yeah.
Jacksonville, and their schedule doesn't
Yeah.
get much easier. But Stroud, for the first time, threw 3 picks
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
Stroud, he's great.
They came back and won though.
No, Jacksonville won the game.
Right.
Jacksonville.
Oh no, yes, I take that back.
Yeah. Josh Dobbs looked like the greatest story on earth, and last night looked like he never played quarterback
Right.
before in his life until
Right,
last
yeah.
night.
Well, he's 4-2 with them, and they don't know if they're going to start him
He
this
threw
week.
4 interceptions last night.
I
4
know it.
bad
I know
interceptions.
it. I know it.
But the Vikings are 6-6. Their 5-game winning streak came to an end. They've lost 2 in a row.
Right.
The Bills. What do you make of the Bills? You've said it from the start. There's something going on in that locker room.
I agree. But they lost they lost a heartbreaker the other night.
Everybody said the officials. I didn't watch the game. Artist Alley was watching the game, and all I heard was screaming and yelling, so you knew what the score was.
Yeah.
But did the officials hurt the Bills?
It seemed like I never blame officials for a loss.
I always do. I blame somebody.
I understand.
I got to blame somebody.
I understand, but I think it was a little bit one-sided. I am so down on officiating throughout the league.
You watch the game,
Right.
and if you have an interest in, let's say, someone bet a game or something,
yeah.
you watch a ball that's a completed pass
Right.
or an incomplete pass, and you say, all right, I got out of this. And then you come back from commercial, and there's a flag.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, they say, well, the speed of the game on the field. But I don't, and then you can see it on replay. But if I'm standing on the sideline and this play happens right in front of you, which happens all the time with wide receivers, there got to be something there. Either there's something there
Or there isn't.
or there isn't.
Make the call or don't. I mean, literally, you're waiting, and then 2 minutes later, flag.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It's amazing how bad teams make things worse.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to the Giants.
Yeah.
Giants are playing the Patriots.
Yeah.
They're up 7-0 at the half.
Yeah.
They go into halftime. They're up 7-0. The Patriots can't move the ball. It's a complete inept offense, and the Giants' defense is playing well.
Yeah.
Thibodeau's playing well.
Right.
And you figure you're going to get off to a great start in the second half. The Patriots can't move the ball. What do? You kick off and you kick it out of bounds and give the Patriots the ball at the 40. So you give a terrible offense and say, you know what? You're terrible. We're only going to make you go 50 yards now.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
How a kicker kicks the ball out of bounds. Punting, I can understand the wind or
Yeah.
something, but kicking it out of bounds?
Speaking of kicking, let's go back to what you've been known to drop a quid or two on a game or an event or something.
Yes.
What would you have bet on that 59-yard field goal that Eagle was going to take Elliott the other night against?
I didn't watch the
Buffalo?
game.
Oh, you didn't hear about the field goal?
I saw the field goal in the Houston-Jacksonville game that was right down the middle and hits the
Crossbar. All right. Well, 2 hours later, the guy from Philadelphia got a 59er in the rain with the wind blowing this way.
He made it?
With plenty to spare. 59 yards, though, in the rain. And that's how we got to overtime. There was no time on the clock.
That's, what is it? Josh Elliott. Right?
Elliott.
Elliott.
Yeah.
Artist Alley went out with him before me.
Did she?
Yes. No. Not at all. Not at all. She would have stayed with the professional NFL player. Dick, that's the NFL. This week, let me just give you some games that are coming up this week. Games that we should maybe keep an eye on this week.
Philadelphia, San Francisco, I think, right?
Is that Seattle goes to Dallas
Right.
Thursday night. That's a good game. Yeah. But there's very few good games. The Chargers are the biggest disappointment in the league.
Yeah, they are. He should have been fired 5 games ago. He should have
been fired 3
2
years
ago. Yeah.
We have the 49ers and Artist Alley's Eagles. 49ers go to San Francisco. Go to Philly to play at the Link.
And they're giving up 3 too.
Yes.
Ooh.
Other than that, you really have some crap games.
The Giants will not lose this week.
The Giants will not lose this week. They have the bye, although they got beat by the bye 2 years ago. But there's really nothing next week. I mean, if you want to consider the Chiefs-Packers, the Packers are playing well. Jordan Love's played
That could
well.
be a decent game. That
It's
could
in
be a
Green
pretty
Bay.
good game because the Chiefs are not on the top of their game at the
And
moment.
I'll tell you, Sean Payton has done a decent job
Really,
in Denver.
Really.
The Broncos
5 weeks ago, we were saying, why the hell? We were thinking, man, could he be out of there and on his way to L.A. or some damn thing?
And the Broncos are now 6-5,
Really?
and they've looked like a team. This is a team that gave up 70 points to Miami.
Right.
When we come back, we'll talk NCAA football because now it's very interesting.
Right.
This portion of the show was brought to you by Artist Alley, Suite 12B, Westchester, Pennsylvania, Elite Studios, and just an absolutely beautiful girl. She's great. We'll be back right after this. To my right, Richard Duke O'Neill and Dick. The baseball winter meetings get set next week, I believe. We'll talk real quick about baseball. I don't know what the Mets are going to do. I think it could be a smokescreen. I can't see Steve Cohen going into any season saying we're going to be mediocre. I just can't see it.
No, I don't. I agree with you. But I really have no idea what they're looking for. With the new regime, at least with Billy Epler, you had a kind of a feel for the kind of player he wanted. But with Stearns, I have no idea what he's looking at.
Blake Snell, Yamamoto, those are two guys that I'd be going at.
Me too.
Pitching.
Me too.
You know?
Otani looks like he wants to be signed like right after the baseball. He wants to get this over
And
done
it
with.
looks like he wants to stay out west.
For sure.
You're hearing names
sure.
I'm just going to tell you, you're hearing certain names with the Mets. I guess they're not thrilled with Brett Beatty at third base. You're hearing names of Matt Chapman. You're hearing perhaps even Alec Bregman. I don't know if, I don't, like I said, I don't see Steve Cohen going in there saying we're going to be mediocre. So I think there could be moves that he makes.
Well, I agree. They're going to do something, and they're going to have to do big things. But the first thing I agree is get some pitching.
Mhm.
Get some pitching.
Pitching, and I would think the second thing,
Yeah.
you don't want to lose Alonso for anything?
No,
No.
I don't. I think he's the heart and soul of the team.
I'm not going to disagree with
I
you.
think he's the heart and soul of the team.
I think first base with Alonso we're set. I'm not moving Alvarez anywhere at all at
No,
catcher.
right.
I think you have to get pitching, and I think you have to. Nimmo is going to stay, and I think you really have to improve the offense.
Yeah, and I think,
Lindor is here and that's fine.
and they got and McNeil is
I
so
don't.
useful.
I've never been in love with him.
Yeah,
You
but
have.
he's so useful at so many positions, and he's fulfilled, and he's a hitter.
He wasn't a great hitter last year.
I think he was coming on at the end of the year. He was coming, but anyway.
Anyway,
to
we
make a
both
long-
agree.
Yeah, but pitch. It's got to be pitching, and if they're not in on Snell, I think there's something wrong.
Yep, I agree. College football, and this is when it's really fun. Here's your top four and your bowl rankings right now. This is what counts right now, today.
Right.
Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington. There's your top four.
Mm-hmm.
Dick, I'm going to give you a scenario. I'm going to tell you that Louisville losing to Kentucky, combined with Florida State losing their quarterback, you could see a 13-0 ACC champ not make the Final Four.
And
You agree?
I do, but I'd like to see them there. I'd like to see them there.
I don't think your team should be punished for an injury.
No, I agree with you.
They still went to the swamp without their quarterback and won.
And won convincingly too. They did a nice job. I thought they did a nice job, for what they had to do. But
Let me give you the team that's going to have the gripe, I think. Texas. Texas is going to finish the year 12-1, Big 12 champs, with a win in Tuscaloosa over Alabama.
Right. Mm-hmm.
How do you leave them out? And then I'm going to give you some other scenarios and some things that blow my mind.
well, it really depends on what Washington and Oregon do. It depends on what Georgia and Alabama do.
Okay, let's say this.
Yeah.
Georgia beats Alabama. I'm going to go with the
Alabama's
favorites.
gone.
Alabama's out.
Alabama's out.
We agree. Oregon beats Washington. Oregon's in. Washington's out.
Ooh.
Why?
Washington's beaten them once. And
They barely beat them.
Yeah.
It was at home.
Yeah. Let's say it's
You got to go with who's playing better now.
okay. Let's say it's 38-35.
Oregon.
Yeah.
I think
Let's-
Oregon's in. Washington's out.
You still think they're out? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Um,
Michigan is in. They're not going to lose to Iowa.
that's my. You know what? Michigan wins the game. I agree.
Yeah.
But this is very odd. And I know you're not into gambling. What would you guess the Michigan-Iowa over-under is, and what would you guess the Michigan-Iowa line is?
I would say it's 17 on the line. And I don't know this.
I know.
don't know this. And the over-under, let me see, 45, 10, 55, 56.
I think what you're saying, I know it, makes sense. Michigan is a 23-point favorite, and the total is 37. So there's a game. I think Iowa could keep this game very close in the first half.
Yeah.
They both have good defenses.
Yeah.
Iowa's defense is very
Very
good.
good. I agree.
And if Iowa can control the ball and get let's say Iowa gets 4 first downs
Yeah.
after their initial first down in
Yeah.
the first half.
Yeah.
Let's say Iowa Iowa has the ball for 14 minutes. That line to me is stupid at 24. I think you have to, if you're going to play the game, you have to play Iowa.
Yeah, but do you think they can get 4 first downs?
I do.
They're in the category with the Jets and the Giants. Offensively, defensively, they're fabulous. Yeah.
So now I gave you the scratch.
Yeah.
The teams that are favored to win.
Right.
Now let's give you chaos.
Okay.
Alabama beats Georgia.
Ooh.
They both in. How do you tell Georgia that?
All right. Yeah, but then again, you got to see the rest of the season.
I'm starting right here.
Oh, you're starting right there.
Right there.
Alabama's in.
Alabama's in if they beat
Right,
Georgia.
because they had a good loss
Okay.
to a good Texas team. Their good loss was the Texas team.
Is Georgia in? That's my question.
Hard to keep the defending champions out with 1 loss. Let's say it's a really great game.
They're both in.
Both in.
Okay. Let's say Iowa beats Michigan
All right.
and Louisville beats Florida State, which
Okay.
could happen.
Right.
Louisville beating Florida State could happen.
Right.
Texas then goes in.
Right.
Is there a team down low that could sneak in? I don't see it because they all have 2 losses. So if that were to happen, you'd have Georgia, Alabama,
Yeah. The winner of Washington, Oregon.
Washington, and Texas.
Yeah.
That's what it would be. Texas needs one of these teams. Texas needs Alabama. Texas needs Washington to beat Oregon again.
Okay.
That's what they need.
No, or here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. If Oregon beats Washington in a really, really good game, which I think it's going to be, then
You know what the line on that game is?
I could see both of those being in there because now Washington would have a win and a loss against a team that's already in.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that win would be better than maybe Texas's. Well, I don't know. It's confusing.
But I think
Yeah.
Texas is going to be the
Yeah.
one of these 2 teams is going to get screwed.
Yeah.
Texas or Florida State, assuming they both win.
Yeah,
One of them is getting screwed
I agree.
because Texas definitely has Texas is going to
Yeah.
sit there and say their AD is
Yeah.
going to say we're 12-1, and we beat Alabama in Alabama.
Right.
Now I know it seems like an eternity ago, but they won the game.
I agree.
So Florida State's going to sit there and say, "Yo, we're 13-0. We
Right.
won a Power 5 conference. We have wins over Clemson that looks better right now.
Yeah.
We have wins over Louisville, which looks
LSU.
LSU.
Yeah.
They opened with, yep. So it's very interesting what goes on there. But Texas or Florida State, one of those teams is going to have a gripe. Nobody else is going to.
If Alabama wins.
If Alabama wins. If Alabama loses, it's very simple. If
Right.
scratch comes through, it's
Yeah.
still Georgia, Michigan. I'm going to go Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State, and no one really can complain except Texas.
Okay. I agree.
Now,
I agree.
conference-wise, there's been a big debate which is the best conference.
Right.
To me, I'm still going SEC.
Me too.
Look at the SEC. Georgia, Alabama, Missouri, Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee. All very good teams.
Right.
And they could have the Heisman Trophy
Right.
winner there.
Right.
The Big Ten is really just Michigan, Ohio State, and a participation trophy for Penn State.
Right.
All Penn State has been the last several years is a resume builder for Michigan and Ohio State.
I agree.
And the Pac-12 is Washington, Oregon, and perhaps the hottest team in the country, Arizona, Oregon State, and Utah. But Arizona is playing unbelievably well.
They are. They're playing very well.
Now, the Heisman Trophy winner is today, in your mind, Jaden
Daniels.
LSU.
Right.
I think it's going to be Daniels 1, Bo Nix 2, Penix 3.
Williams 4.
No, Marvin Harrison.
Good one.
I don't think Caleb Williams is in the conversation. USC stinks.
They do.
They stink,
they
and
do.
Caleb Williams didn't beat a good team at all.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Is he going to be a good NFL player? We'll see.
Right.
But it's amazing the pressure. You stopped in the store the other day and we were talking. Ryan Day of Ohio State. Now, you're a coach, so I can ask you this. Ryan Day has coached in 63 games. I think he's won he hasn't won a national title.
Yeah, he has.
Oh, he has?
Yeah.
So he's won 56 or 57 of those games.
Yeah.
He's 57-6.
Right.
They want him fired. They want him gone.
I understand. And who are they going to bring in that's going to improve on that? So what you're telling me? You could go 0 for 11 if you beat Michigan. You got a job. Is that how that goes?
57-6, and they're complaining.
Second,
He runs a clean program.
absolutely.
He's a nice guy. He's great with the media.
They're in the top 5 every single year.
Every year.
Every year.
This year, they didn't get the greatest quarterback in the world.
No.
And you know what? He won 12 of 13 games.
Exactly.
Or 11 of 12.
Right.
And he was in the Michigan game until the final play.
I just don't understand it. I just really do not understand what they're going to do. What they're going to do there. That just makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. And then I'm looking at Texas A&M gave the job to Elko.
The Duke coach.
Yeah. Did you see did you notice what kind of money he got? Did you see it?
No.
I didn't either. That's
No.
all I'm at. So with the buyout of
$76 million for Fisher.
and his assistants, which they don't even, that's like under the table stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to give Elko somewhere.
I would assume they're giving him $7-8 million a year.
Exactly
You know.
for 5 years.
Yeah,
And
it's probably
so-
a $40 million 5-year deal.
Yeah. And, he rebuilt the program at Duke, they were just an also ran in the ACC.
He made Duke a football program.
Right, okay, but they
Somewhat.
still weren't winning. I mean,
Yeah.
they still weren't, vying for the championship or anything like that. That just makes no sense to me.
If Miami wanted Cristobal fired,
Yeah.
I'd be the first one online. This guy is a great recruiter, but he committed malpractice coaching this year.
Did he? Okay, you're
First
a
of all-
Miami fan.
First
so.
of all, the handoff was
Oh,
to
no,
Joe
okay.
Pisarcik, and it's the second time he did it.
Yeah, okay.
But that is a talented team, and you
They
saw
are.
it against Florida State when they had their quarterback.
Right, they
you
are.
saw it against Clemson. This is and North Carolina. This is a team that was in every game,
Mhm.
and he's a great recruiter. Don't get me wrong, but he could be the worst game coach I've ever seen.
Jesus. Worse than Staley?
Where's Jim Harbaugh go next year? I would think he's leaving Michigan,
He's either
and
going
you
to
just
the
mentioned
Raiders
or the Chargers.
or the Chargers.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I think. But I really think it depends on what happens. I think he'd rather coach in the NFC. I just have a gut feeling that he'd rather do that.
Do you think Michigan can win an NCAA title this year?
Yeah.
You do? They're
I
that
do.
good?
Yeah, I think so.
Who do you think's the best team?
They could
Who's
be.
the favorite?
They could be.
Michigan?
Yeah.
All right.
They
Then
could be.
Georgia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Georgia, we talked about lines before,
Right.
and then we'll take a commercial and do our picks. But
Right.
take a guess what the Michigan. I gave you Michigan, Iowa. What's the Georgia Washington game line? And I know you don't know.
You mean the Oregon?
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Oregon, Washington, and then I'll give you Georgia,
And
Alabama.
that's at a neutral site, right there.
They all are
Okay.
surprising.
3.
9. 9 points. Oregon's a 9-point favorite. That's telling you something. Georgia, Alabama.
What's the over/under?
I don't know. Probably 67.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. It's
I'm
gonna be
guessing.
big. Yeah.
What's the Georgia Alabama line?
6.
Yep, on the money, 5,
Is it?
6.
Okay. All right.
When we come back, we will give you our picks. Last week, I had a phenomenal week. We'll be back. We are back. It is Sports 845, November 28th. We took off last week for Thanksgiving, and we are back this week. This is, listen, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-HOPE-New York. You could text, you could call them. They'll probably put you on hold, but
Is that your bookie's number?
if you have a problem, call there. If you don't have a problem, continue gambling. Only the people that have only the people that are losing have problems. Dick, let's go. We'll alternate picks here.
You got it.
You go first.
All right, I'm taking Alabama +6 because I've been with them all year. I'm a fan of theirs. I think they've improved every single game. They won a Hail Mary game this past Saturday against Auburn, and I think that was a sign.
That was that's the play of the year.
Unbelievable.
And how bad is the Auburn defense to allow that to happen? There's only one place the Alabama quarterback could throw the ball in that situation. It's the end zone.
Right.
How do you let someone behind you?
And you have 8 guys in there, 8 guys in the end zone. If you could have stood them shoulder to shoulder and that stopped it. It doesn't make no sense. But anyway, I'm going with Alabama. I just think they're a thoroughbred playing a thoroughbred, and I think Georgia may be right. It took them a while to get going against Georgia Tech this Saturday.
But I tell you, and that's a good point. Let's talk real quick about these rivalry games.
Yeah.
That's why they're played.
Right.
Georgia versus Georgia Tech. If they play the game in the regular season and it's not a rivalry,
Right.
Georgia wins by 50.
Right.
Alabama, Auburn, last second. Georgia Tech. I mean, these are games where the lines were 30.
Right.
North Carolina State blows out North Carolina. Clemson gets by South Carolina. The Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl. These games are all just classic games. Washington State came down to the end. These are just incredible games. And that's why they have it.
Really.
And next week, I think we get Army Navy.
For sure. Yes, we do.
Is it next week?
No,
or
the
the
week after. They're a solo deal.
Okay.
They go solo.
So your first pick, you're taking Alabama +6
Right.
over the Bulldogs of Georgia.
Right.
Okay. My first game is an upset. I always go with the underdogs. Tulane's undefeated. SMU is getting 5 points. Neutral site,
I saw
Conference
that.
USA.
I saw that. Right.
SMU puts up points. That they put up 60 last week. I'll take SMU getting 5 over Tulane to ruin Tulane's perfect season.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That would really screw up a big bowl for them, right?
Yes.
Would it screw up?
Yeah.
They would
No,
get a
no.
New Year's Eve bowl.
I don't know.
No. Okay. Anyway.
I don't know what the arrangement
All
is.
right.
It's
I'm
Conference USA.
taking Michigan minus 24
23.
because I think they're going to pitch a shutout.
Okay.
I think they're going to pitch a
I can
shutout.
see that.
I understand Iowa's got a pretty good defense, but I think they're going to give the ball up in too much field position to Michigan, and I just think it. Actually, I think it could be what Michigan wants it to be.
I am going to go. That's one game I think we're going head to head against as of now.
Mhm.
I'm going to take 23 points with Iowa. I'll take the best defensive team in the country, and Michigan's not bad
Mhm.
defensively at all. They're very good.
Right.
But I'll take a great defense starting the game up 23-0. I'll take Iowa plus 23. I'll take Michigan to win the game, but Iowa plus 23.
Okay. On the other side, I believe Washington beat Oregon the first time, even though it was at home and it was a last-second play, one of those kind of things. I know Oregon's improved greatly. I know Bo Nix is a candidate. Actually, both Pennick and Nix are candidates for the Heisman Award, but I just think that's just too many points. I think this is just going to come down to maybe who has the football last.
So you're taking Washington plus the points.
+9.
Plus 9. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to stay away from that game. I'm going to stick with college here. Florida State, to me, their quarterback obviously injured out for the season. The backup quarterback at Florida State is no slouch.
No, agreed.
And now he's got 2 games under his belt. To me, Louisville, in that we talked about rivalry weekend,
Mhm.
the loss to Kentucky not only hurt Louisville, it hurt Florida State. And I think Florida State, with only a 2-point line, Florida State's got more talent. They're more athletic. They're more talented. I think Florida State wins that game over Louisville -2. I take the Seminoles.
I agree with that.
So there's 3 of my games. We have 3 of yours. You got 1 more.
Okay, I go in with Ole Miss. I just think that's
What did they play?
Mississippi State.
No, they already played them. You can't bet a game that's already been
No,
played. They played last week. Rivalry weekend. Who are you taking? By the way, who are you taking? Because I know the result.
I was going to take Mississippi, give them 10.
Okay, they won 17-7. You got a push out of it. But in this
I
contest,
did look at that. What the hell was I thinking?
in this contest, we like to pick the games that haven't been played yet. It just adds a little bit more intrigue.
All right, okay, then hold on. Then you know what? I'm going to back up, and I'm going to, I'm going to take Oklahoma State. I know Texas got so much to play for. They got so much to play for. I think it's 14.5.
Right, and a game that hasn't been played yet.
Hasn't been played yet. I think Oklahoma. It just seems like too many points. Just too many.
Did you
points.
see Archie Manning play last week? The highlights?
Yeah, for
3
a few,
of 5.
Yeah,
He looked just like a Manning.
yeah,
Didn't he?
Yeah, they're talking about him going to Ohio State or something.
What, he's going to transfer?
Yeah.
What, Ohio State offered him more money?
Well, you is only a sophomore.
he's not gonna sign for the draft. The other guy, so she can't.
I think
go.
Ewers is coming out. I think. Well, maybe. Who knows? I didn't hear that. But
Ewers
okay.
can't come
So
out.
he's gonna sit behind the guy. One
I
more
didn't
year.
think Ewers was a sophomore. But if you're right, you're right. I can't. I didn't know that.
I think Ewers is just a sophomore.
Let me just see because I'm checking only because you already picked the game that was already played. So let me just check, and then we're going to do a breathalyzer on you. Ewers, you said is a sophomore. He's a sophomore.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I got one thing right, Richie. Make note of that. Would you
My
please?
final pick,
Yeah.
I'm going to the pros, and I apologize to Artist Alley and the Molina family. This could be worse than getting a haircut somewhere else. But I think the 49ers go into the link and beat the Eagles, and they're getting 2.5 points. To me, the 49ers are the best team in football. The Eagles are 10-1. You can't debate it. They're a great team. I think the 49ers go into the link, getting basically a field goal. And it's really a pick 'em game because the home team gets
Right.
2 or 3 points.
Right.
So I like the 49ers over the Eagles. I like SMU over Tulane. Iowa, not over, but with the points, Michigan. And Florida State minus the 2 over Louisville.
Yeah.
And those are the picks for this week.
And before you do this, just one question before we go.
Yep.
In your opinion,
Yes.
if you were picking the top 4 teams to play in the
Mhm.
who would you play? Who would you think are the best 4 teams here? Without betting, when having no,
Georgia,
Okay.
Michigan,
Yeah.
Oregon,
Mhm.
Florida State.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
This portion of the
That's
show,
fair.
the final portion, brought to you by Orange County Bagel, better known as OCB. We have 4 locations: Washingtonville, Goshen, Middletown, and Walden. Catering, deliver, set up for all your holiday needs. And that's Orange County Bagel with 4 locations. We will be back next week. Dick, my partner here, has knee surgery.
Depending on how I'm
Knee replacement
moving around on
surgery.
Friday. Yeah.
And listen, if he can't come in, I'll get someone else. I believe the guy who played Weekend at Bernie's. We'll get him to come in. We'll be back next week.